to our Monday 3 o'clock webinar in the Spa Hive. We're so excited. We have some special guests this week, and I'm super excited. We'll just wait another half a minute as people continue to join in. Everyone knows I let the floodgates open right at the time, so we try to wait a minute to give people time to hop on. Damien and Darnell, you can monitor the chat if you want and say hello. As we're going, you don't need to worry about monitoring the chat. I definitely will, and Marianne will be here so that we can fire questions at you that come in through the chat. So you don't need to worry about it. We have a big hello from Linda Arthur and
hello, Linda.
Butler. And looks like we're at 3:01. I think let's get started because I feel like this is a big topic, a really great conversation. So we want to make sure that we have time to answer questions as we go. So a big welcome. If you've not been on any of our webinars or part of our webinar series, I'm Julie Pankey, and I'm the founder of JM Pankey Partners. We're a consulting group based in Southern Maine, so we do a lot of work here in the Northeast and specifically New England and the Northeast. And we also do the Spa Hive, and so this is part of the Spa Hive community. We are all about bringing resources and education to our spa community. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. A quick, if you don't know Zoom, which I feel like most people are more familiar now with Zoom than you ever thought you wanted to be. But if you don't, just keep in mind that you are muted, your cameras are off, but we want this to be an active conversation. So if you have any questions as we're going along, there is a chat button down below. Just hit chat. Be sure to hit all panelists if you want to direct it to the whole group. I will be monitoring the chat as we're going along, as will Marianne, our executive. God, what is Marianne? See, I'm like tongue-tied today. It's Monday. It's one of those days. Our executive support and everyone knows my left and right hand and lots of times my brain. So today she probably is that. But we're so excited to welcome Darnell Wise and Damien Ferris with us today. So Darnell is with Universal Companies. Damien is with Bodywork Mall, and if you were on Coffee Chat on Thursday, which I'm looking at some of the people that are on here today that were on Coffee Chat, this is kind of a continuation of that conversation we were talking about, reopening and PPE and supplies, and is, HEPA purifiers better than ionic purifiers, and do we invest money in air purification systems? Do we use disposable table covers, or do we use sanitizable table covers? Blah blah, yada 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 yada, right? And everyone on the call has probably one time or another ordered from Universal Companies or Bodywork Mall, whether it's your 4x4s, your 2x2s, your wax, to your big equipment. Tables and etc. They're both experts. Both of these guys have been in the industry for a really long time. I see them as resources. I know you're going to see them as resources. So, Damien, introduce yourself to our group, please.
Hi, everyone. How are you today? I'm Damien Ferris. I have been in the industry for I think about 28 years now. Started as a massage and sports therapist. Worked with Olympic ski and snowboard teams in Australia and New Zealand. Then came to the States in 1999, where started working in a day spa environment. So ended up running a chain of companies. Name of the spas were Trilogy Day Spa in Northern and Southern California, and was their director of operations there for 11 years. So we've got a great operational background in the day spas. Moved over from there into the distribution companies, and have been there since about 2011 and on the distribution side. So I love to talk shop, have got a wealth of knowledge that I love to share with anyone, and I'm very excited to be on board today. So thanks for the invite.
We're excited to have you as well. And Darnell, we've known each other for a while, and we're excited to have you on. You've been a huge wealth of knowledge for us in the Spa Hive, and great resource. Please introduce yourself to all of our attendees.
Yes. Well, thank you, and thank you, Julie, for inviting me here today. My name is Darnell Wise. I've been in the aesthetic arena for approximately going on 24 years now. I helped launched a couple of skincare brands. One you might be, or a couple might be familiar with, Neostrata. Back in the late 90s, I helped launch that brand into the market, along with the Exuviance brand. And then from there, a Canadian brand, which is called Bio4. And then I helped launch Domina, which is a Italian brand that Linda, author, who's on the call, we worked together with that brand as well. And before going to Universal, I was the vice president for Dermamed Solutions, which afforded me the opportunity to help with distribution of their microdermabrasion and the Oxygeneo, and recently joined the Universal side of the business. Matter of fact, a year ago today, I came on board as their aesthetic director of aesthetics for them. So marrying skincare and aesthetic devices together, and how they work as modalities with skincare. So, and also co-owner of a spa in Pennsylvania, New Jersey as well. So.
Exciting. So see, everyone, we bring you the best, and we're excited to have both Darnell and Damien on the call. I love like the two double Ds. I'm like, this is great. Darnell, Damien, like I can remember and say those names and it flows off my tongue. But let's talk about PPE, the hot topic of the day. I mean, I know, I've used both companies with, my spas and spa openings, as well as, other supply companies and equipment, vendors. And so I know that you're so much more than PPE, right? And I think that, we want to get into the conversation, and let's get into that a little bit later. But I know everyone is like chomping at the bit about PPE. What are we doing when we reopen? Do we do disposable or sanitizable? Do we do air purifiers, HEPA filters, etc.? But I'd like to then get into the conversation of, what support that people can expect to receive from a really good supply partner. And, I think both of you are good partners to your customers. And I think it's important for our audience to know that buying from Universal, from the, big old catalog, or from Bodywork Mall, on the internet is far deeper of a relationship, and can be, a much bigger resource than just ordering up products, supplies, equipment, etc.
Agreed.
Right?
Yes.
So let's talk about PPE, because I know everybody wants to talk about it. We talked a little bit about it before the call. I know we've talked about it, in the past as well. A lot of the spas that we're working with, they're creating, their new, COVID plan, what that looks like opening now. I mean, there are some places that I think are opening this week. There's some that were gonna open this week and now they're not, you know, and there's little to no guidance, right, from our states.
Agreed.
So, you know, what are your thoughts on this? If I was a spa and I was coming to you, we'll ask Damien first. I was coming to you saying, what do I do? You know, my state's not giving me guidance. You know, I'm scared. My employees are scared. I don't know if I should open when we're supposed to open on June 20th. Do I wait to July? Do I wait to September? Do I buy a $30,000 air filtration system for my whole building? Where do I start? What's my first line of defense, and where do I go from there?
Well, I mean, lots of different questions which you posed there, and I think that businesses need to break it down in a couple of different ways and join as a community within your workplace, because if your staff are scared and you're scared going into opening a business, that is immediately going to translate into your clients. You know, everyone's going to be walking on eggshells and they're going to not feel like the business that you want. You know, so where do you go with the products that are out in the market? A couple of resources to look at is obviously iSpa's handbook. You know, that was a great resource that they brought to the table that everyone can sort of follow and have some sort of guidelines, because you're right, our government hasn't done that for the spa industry. Are people opening in stages? Are you going to have, it depends on the size of your spas. Are you going to have the spa open up in different stages? So I'm seeing a lot of businesses opening their salons up first, and then their nail areas, and then moving into the massage area. Now, with the specific the PPEs that you're looking for, I think a requirement is going to have to be some face shields, face masks, and gloves on your staff that are working front desk. I see that a lot of people are doing that. And then moving into your treatment areas, you know, Sylvia Cipielli stated in one of the articles you did recently, is just that, you know, are we losing sight of massage? If we're going to be touching people with gloves on, is that going to be the best approach? I mean, our business is Hands of Healing, and should we be taking a look at following the steps of hand washing and all of that, and the protocols, still wearing a mask, but massaging with your hands and really getting in touch, because people have been away from our touch environment for such a long time that they're screaming out for it, they're calling for it. And what I've seen, the businesses that have opened, they're doing very well. Retail has gone through the roof, you know, and they're listening and they're complying with instruction. What I'm a firm believer in is, and you mentioned on this earlier, is HEPA filters, the bipolar ionization. You know, CDC came out 2 weeks ago Wednesday, and they stated that as Professor John Schwartzberg stated, that the evidence is overwhelming. The most important way this virus is transmitted is through droplets and aerosols that come from an infected person's nose and mouth. So with that being said, you're looking at the air within our buildings. And I do believe that your HVAC filtration systems are going to be a major role in how to get not only our staff but our clients back into our businesses. Now, there's many different products in the market at the moment. Media filtration or HEPA filtrations, UV, needlepoint ionization. All of these have their benefits, but there's really only one product which is on the market which can cover everything. and that is bipolar ionization, and where it is actually attacking the virus, continual sterilization, attacking the virus airborne on surfaces, and working constantly through your HVAC systems to purify, cleanse, and provide a clean environment for you to be working in. Ionization is nothing new. This is not a new situation. If you go into the mountains, the positive and negative ions is at its maximum. And that is what some of the filtration systems are out there are trying to provide, is to our ambient occupant space areas are at the lowest percentage rate in any establishment. There's building syndromes, sicknesses, which have been classified by doctors, where multiple illnesses are circulating in these occupied spaces, and they're not being addressed. And people are coming in, they're getting sick, and it's continually moving around. And what Dr. Schwartzberg is saying is that by this process of aerosols, that even with face shields coming over the tables, that with that HVAC system circulating through, it's moving those aerosols and those droplets throughout the whole room. And sometimes those shields are just not going to be enough. You need to take a good look at that. Now, affordable and on budget, and where can you be? Steps can be taken. Follow the guidelines that have been presented in some of ISPA's stuff, and common sense. You know, it's really going to take a community to be able to figure out the best way for your standard operating procedures moving forward. I mean, I could speak all day on this one, so I think I'll pass it over to Darnell to have a couple to put.
Yes, definitely. And Darnell, what are you guys seeing? When you're talking to your clients, people that are preparing to reopen. I mean, I know it's still a little early for most of us here in the Northeast, but people are planning and preparing. What are the conversation that you guys are having, Darnell? And I think Damien made a great point about face shields and things. And we were talking to somebody the other day saying, or a client of mine, she's saying, how am I supposed to do facials, when my client's wearing a mask and I'm wearing a mask and shield? Do we open without doing facials? Do we open without doing massage? Do we open doing what? Just hair and nails? I mean, what are the things you're hearing, Darnell, in your conversations?
Yeah, so, I agree with Damien on the points that he made about germs. So when we look at, germs is bad for business, as we could say that, right? And we all agree with that. And when you look at the different types of germs, there's really three: the bacteria, there's viral, and then there's fungi. And so we are trying our best to make sure that we have products that will help kill all three of those different types of germs. And so we're trying to make sure we educate on the difference between sanitation and disinfectant, and how they work and what germs that they kill, because there's, again, those three different types. You need a disinfectant that will kill all three of those germs. But I think the biggest thing is, as Damien made reference, we have to make sure that we are conveying that to our clients, that we're taking the precaution not only for ourselves, but for them as well. And we spell out to them exactly what we are doing to make sure that they are safe, they're in a safe environment, that the treatments that we're going to be performing are treatments that will also be within these guidelines of our description for sanitation and disinfecting. And so, making sure, where everyone is wearing a mask, making sure that, we're posting signs up to assure that this area has been disinfected within the last, 5 minutes of the other person that was before you. So really putting a protocol and things together to reassurance, because the customer or the client need to trust you as that practitioner, that you are doing the necessary steps for safety first.
So communication is big key.
Big key, yes, yeah.
Making sure that we're communicating, what we're doing, what changes we're making,
Yes.
all of the effort that we put in place to protect, our employees, and our guests.
Yeah.
Right.
And what about, do you have a thought process on disposable versus sanitizable? So do we go in and buy, sanitizable, table covers? Do we buy disposable paper, gowns that our staff are wearing to perform massage? I think a lot of us are already using, or a lot of people are already using disposables in their nail areas. Definitely disposables in some instances in their facial areas, but do we need to look deeper into the, back bar products that are disposable versus sanitizable, or is sanitizable enough?
They go green. I think that
go green.
Go green all the way.
Like I didn't catch what you said, David.
Yeah, sorry. To me, everything, we're sort of going backwards from where we were 4 years ago, let's say. Especially we've gone backwards since March, just on how we're doing business. So we're now creating an environment where everything has been dumped. And I think that you take a look at the facial masks, the disposable ones on that, the gloves and all of that, they're filling the trash, and they're overfilling. And we're not only seeing that in Spa, but we're seeing that everywhere. I'm not too sure some of the environments where you're living, but some of the cities that I've been to recently, we'll see gloves lying on the road, we'll see facial masks on the road, and that, to me, is a major issue. So if you are able to disinfect and sanitize table covers, I would say do that 100%. So it's going to be a lot more effective for our environment moving forward and down the road. Just make sure that the products that you are bringing in, do the research. If you hear something, like it's all about the knowledge and how you go about it. If you have questions, ask those questions every single time. And, Darnell and myself will be able to give you the answers based on research that our teams have done and what our product managers are bringing in to offer to you. So use this as a resource, because I don't want to see that garbage build up in the landfills, because that's what's happening. And if there's more green solutions on how to move forward, I say that we take a look at those first. And even though a product is going to cost you a little bit more in the initial hit, so you take a table cover, for example, that has the ISO 10993 certification that it will withstand the EPA registered products that you're putting on it, and it has that certification, then you are spending on disposable table covers. So let's say that's a $75 product. If you've got a product that you're replacing with and you're doing it 10 times a day, and that costs you, $7.50 per day, then, you're looking at a very, very short time that's going to pay off for you. And those products will last you a lot longer. Now, is it going to hurt? First of all, it does, but everything that we do seems to hurt a little bit at the start. If you want to get quality, really invest in that. Take the time, see what you're going to do for your environment, because we're all in this together.
Now,
Oh, Darnell, did you want to hop in?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I agree with Damien that we are in this together. And so we have to look at things from the standpoint of, the environment wise, financial wise, and what makes sense for us. And we also have to look at it from the standpoint of what services are we providing, what treatments are we providing, and what's going to be the best for our operation. And I think that's where, again, Jamie and I can come in and help with evaluating your business, help with providing you with the best solution based upon your business practice and your business philosophy for your business as well.
Right. Darnell, you said something a minute ago. I have a question here about, can you define disinfecting versus sanitizing?
Oh, absolutely, I can. So disinfecting is something that actually goes after the kill below the surface. Sanitizing is just really wiping off the surface, if that makes sense. And it may not kill the other germs that is lurking there. So you want to find something that, again, is the EPA registered, that can say it's certified to kill, the bacteria, it's certified to kill the virus, it's certified to kill the fungi. So you want to make sure you, as Damien made reference to, you do your research. Not all sanitations or disinfecting is created equal, if you would. So it's important that we make sure that the CDC has already have a website where you can go and find out what is the best product that's going to help in those three categories as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering that. Question here is, one of our viewers is pretty convinced that we may not need need to clean the air with costly equipment, since the virus is transferred by droplets only. Would opening the windows suffice here? What are your thoughts? I know, Damien, you've done a lot of research on this, and Darnell definitely, weigh in here as well.
Darnell, I'm happy to go first if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here, a lot of establishments can't open the windows, is one thing. So you can't get a fresh air source into your establishment. Even though you may be getting that fresh air into the business, what other contaminants are you bringing in? If the air source that you have bringing into the area, I mean, the virus is transmitted by droplets and aerosols, and that was what the CDC's guidelines mentioned 2 weeks ago. So it's not, it attaches to particulates in the air, and when those particulates move through, they're going to follow the way that, whether it's the HVAC system controlling that air movement through the intake and through the return, or it's going to be transferred into your area by the open window. So if someone sneezes and they have the COVID-19 virus, and you've got an open window, it's going to move the same way as it's going to move through a HVAC system. If you can isolate those areas and have an occupied space which is cleaner than the outside air, while it can be costly, being able to give your clients and your staff the benefits of cleaner air in your establishment is going to be one of the best key points to moving forward with business operations. And you would be surprised. You asked if it's costly, but do you know? Have you tested it out? Have you requested a quote? I mean, it all depends on the size of your HVAC systems. It depends on how many units you are that support your occupied space. I'm happy to work with everyone on this too.
I think also too, if you are renting a space, your landing lawyer should be able to provide some of these things for you as well. The other thing too is that, with the tax break 179, your investment can be deducted from there as well. You can talk with your accountant about that too. You have up to $500,000 in equipment and capital equipment, and this can be part of your capital equipment of investment that you will do for the year. So these are things that certainly you can look into that will help you. You might have the upfront costs, but you'll get it back over time as well.
Right. So this is great. And, I know I want to address Beth's comment here in the chat. I know Marianne just addressed it for me a little bit, but, she's here to talk about expenses within our control. And we're having a supply vendor chat about consumables because this is the third series in our webinar series, or third segment in our webinar series about expenses within our control. So I think, to kind of address the elephant in the room that everybody wants to talk to about PPE is something that, we had to talk about. And I think that these guys are amazing resources, and they're going to help you, address the, COVID situation, help you get in the best products, what's most economical, what's going to be best for your business long term, because I fundamentally believe that a relationship with a supply vendor is one of the most important relationships you can have as a spa director and a spa owner. So I think we probably will circle back to PPE because I can see lots of questions in the chat about that. But let's talk a little bit about, our first week. We talked about controlling our expenses. Our second week, we talked about compensation and payroll. Now let's talk about what our relationship should look like with our supply vendors when we're searching for products and services that are going to help. How can you help us? How can Universal Companies and Bodywork Mall help us as spas make better purchase decisions versus, say, going on Amazon versus going to Sally's or BJ's, to pick up my 4x4s or 2x2s or my hand sanitizer or my whatever. I can say why the relationship with a supply vendor is so important. And I am dead set against, unless we're in a jam, running to any store to buy product, because your supply vendors, first and foremost, can give you a report quarterly, annually, monthly, that can really monitor your supply channel. What are you spending for waxing products, wax sticks, 2x2s, 4x4s, polish remover, whatever, all of your gloves. Tell me, why should we have a relationship with our supply vendor versus I'm going to buy some from you, Darnell, and I'm going to buy some from you, Damien, and then I'm going to go over to, T&G, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to cherry pick it all, and in the end, I might not have a great control on my expenses. Not saying that you have to buy everything through one supply vendor, because I absolutely do not believe that, but why a relationship with you is beneficial to me as a spa owner, and how it can help me manage my consumables and manage my behind the scenes expenses.
Which
Darnell,
is
you want to start?
Okay, yes, which is a great question. Again, as a spa owner, one of the things we have to look at is that we have hired employees, and they don't take value in the things that we have to purchase. So it's there, they use it, and they don't care how much they use. They also demand because they need it. But as a supply chain or distributor, what we do, we come in and we could analyze your business. As Julie said, we could see your spending habits. We could see how often you are ordering. How can we save with shipping costs? How can we save with case pricing? How can we save by being a resource for you as a company? And I think, with Bodyworks and Universal, we are able to come in and again and analyze your business and set you up where we could help with controlling costs, controlling the outcome of your expenses as well. So again, it's all about your relationships, because we are here to partner with you and not so much sell you. We want to help grow your business and not just have you to buy from us. And I think that's the key, and that's the benefit of being able to partner with a distributor.
Great. Yeah, it's all about your bottom line. If you're doing business on a day-to-day basis with someone, you can be ordering from multiple areas. It gets disorganized. If you're truly looking for a partner, that someone can have a large range of products and operational supplies that you need. We stock these items. We have them ready to go. We know the price points that you want because we have teams working on that daily. So we know the discounts that you need, because what we test on Amazon, we test on Sally's Beauty, and we take a look at what everyone's doing in the marketplace to ensure that our pricing is superior. And Universal does the same thing. I know that for a fact. So, and we want to be the partners that you reach out to, because we have account managers that will work with you, with the one-point person that you'll be contacting, and you'll have that relationship, whether you need to do it by text, by phone, by email, by fax, whatever you need. You just send that off, and you'll know that you'll have a partner there that will be able to handle your business the way that you want to do it. An old saying is, technology when you need it and a person when you don't.
I love it. I love it. So we have a question here about, is it okay to provide a supplier? Is it okay for me to provide you with the price that I'm paying for something and see if you can price match or beat pricing?
That makes it easy for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you want to do that, that's fine. I can take a look at any type of pricing that you've got, and I want to do business. That's what we're all in this for. I'm not going to gouge you on pricing. If I'm off by 3 cents, of course I'm going to match that. If it doesn't make sense for me, I'll tell you. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to let you know that if you can get it from Sally's Beauty because you're buying 15 cases of it, do you need 15 cases of it? Is that the best way that you're going to spend your money? So you really need to take a look. Do I have that storage for the 15 cases? Or are my par levels so much less than that I want to be cash heavy at this time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense to do price comparison. Not so much that we beat out our competitors, but it's just the mere fact you want the best pricing and you want to have a trusted partner. As Damien said, why would you spend money on 15 cases? You don't need it. But you can be spending that money on something else that you really do need. So we're able to be a resource to help you figure that out when you can't figure it out. And I've been in business for going on 20 years, and I've made some mistakes in the beginning because no one was there to show me. And so it was like, trial and error. And so as you learn, you do better. So being a part of a distribution channel should be a resource to help you to do better.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly. And let's see, there's, Beth had a question. She said, how big do you have to be a partner?
Do you have one person in your business?
Right.
One person business.
That's it.
Both of you guys value partnerships with
Absolutely.
a solopreneur as much as, a small, medium, large size business.
Right, right. And I think, as a solo practitioner, you really do need a distribution channel as your partner, because you need to save as much money as you possibly can. And so we need you and you need us.
Exactly. And that's why having a partnership is going to work, because we're going to lean into you. We don't know where you're going to be 5 years from now, but we want to be there on that journey.
Awesome. And then let me just see, there's a bunch of questions here in the chat, so I'm going to answer those before we hit you up with any other questions that we kind of pre-prepared. But one question is, I'm an older resort treatment rooms. They tend to be small. The bottom line is a small treatment room with very little ventilation a safe room to be working in?
Do you have a HVAC return and supply in that treatment room is going to be one of the questions. And what type of sanitization, disinfectants are you doing after every treatment? Are you allowing sick people into your spa, whether it's clients or staff? Many different factors on what's going to create a safe environment. And again, I think it's going to come down to every business is going to be different. Everyone's going to have their own challenges. I mean, in my spas, I had supply and return in every room. So even though the HVAC system wasn't the best and it didn't circulate, like one of the rooms was always 10 degrees hotter at the bottom of the supply lines than the room that was at the very start. So I think that taking a look at an individual room by room and individual spas is going to be key with figuring out what your requirements are going to be. But disinfection, cleaning practices and all of that are always going to be the same. Keep it constant. Training your staff, training every single person on what people want to see. They want to have visibility. They want to know that you are taking steps to protect everyone that comes into your establishment, whether it's staff and whether it's client. It has to be the same, and you have to have that consistency.
Yeah, it has to be across the board. Yes, I agree.
Awesome. And I think lower down, this person that asked the question, Betty, may have typed something in, but I want to kind of go down. So Denise, hi Denise. Let's see, Denise from NASM Pro is on the call or on our webinar, and she said, this is a great point, right, Denise? And she's going to be hosting one of our webinars in a few weeks when we get into staffing. But we have to remember that we're not just sanitizing and disinfecting for COVID, but also flu, colds, streptococcus. I tell the story back early in my days in the spa industry. I mean, way pre all of this that we're worrying about is, I caught, ringworm, from a client that didn't know, is it ringworm? Roundworm. Which one's the one that's on your skin?
Ringworm.
Yeah, ringworm. Yes.
But from a client, and, had it all at my arm. And so, she didn't disclose that she had it. I didn't see it. Highly contagious. Contagious infectious disease isn't new to our spas. Certainly not. So great point, Denise. She says, so it's imperative to have a high level of cleaning, sanitation, disinfection. It's good for keeping, your staff well as your guests. This is a question targeted or pointed right to Darnell. Thank you for the great education on your website. I have 2 questions. When do you expect to get nitrile gloves back in stock? And is there greener EPA disinfectants? So what are some greener? So when are we going to see nitrile gloves? Both of you guys, maybe you're in the same boat. And are there greener EPA disinfectants that these spas can buy? So it was targeted to Darnell, but I'm sure Damien has the same issues at Bodywork Mall.
Yeah. So when we talk about the gloves, we're hoping in the next 2 weeks we will have a supply of gloves in. Now, with that said, we do have a back order, so those gloves will probably come in and go right back out. I would suggest that you order them and let them be on back order so that when they come in, you're part of that source there that we can fulfill the order there. Certainly there's different greener disinfectant that you can find on our website under the new PPE. We have a complete site just for that, or landing page just for all the supplies for PPE there. And there's a comparison chart on the various disinfectant and sanitizers that we do offer there. So I would refer her to go back to that website, the universal website. Yeah.
How about you, Damien? Are you seeing challenges with gloves? I know we talked about this a few minutes ago about, our gloves that did cost us, $8, $10, $11 a box are now costing us $30 a box because supply is limited. So your suppliers are increasing your price as well.
Yep.
What are you seeing, in the supply of these vital things, gloves, masks, etc., and any greener EPA disinfectants that you love?
First on the gloves, we have got new inventory coming in all the time, and again, as Darnell said, we have back order situations happening with the gloves, but we're finding new vendors all the time. Pricing is going up. That's all about supply and demand, and there's nothing much that we can really do where, especially if resources are low in certain areas. A lot of the stuff is coming from Taiwan, and a lot of the stuff is coming from China as well. So, it's all about what they can manufacture for the time and what's been produced and sent out across the world. Like, this is not just the States, this is happening globally. So being able to bring these items into stock, we started ordering in late February, and we're seeing stuff coming in. I think from the 22nd of last month up until July, we've got lots of different orders coming in for different gloves. So check out the site, do what Darnell said, make your orders, be on that back order situation. They will be attended to, and it also gives our purchasing departments a better understanding on what is needed, what is required in the industry. And then we can make judgment calls on how much to bring in. So that's really important. I do know that there's some green products that are EPA registered. Do I have the names off the top of my head? No. There was one product that I was working with, which was an inert product. It was basically green. It formed basically spikes on the product, so on your surfaces, so viruses were unable to reproduce because they would spear the membrane, that would deflate them, and they were unable to reproduce. So that product was basically silica, which is sand. So if 99% of the active ingredient list was inert, I'll figure out what that is. I'm more on the equipment side. one of my colleagues is better suited to that. So after, I'm pretty sure there'll be my contact information going out afterwards. I'll make introductions to my teammate who can help you with and lead you down the right path there.
And just so everyone knows, we're going to send you a replay of this video. So if you missed anything, or of this webinar, if you missed anything, you'll have it. For some that have joined late, you'll also have it. And you'll also have Damien and Darnell's contact information, so you can reach out to them directly and ask them specific questions that apply specifically to your spa and your business, because I know that they want to help and they're here to help. And as they both said, and you know, here in the Spa Hive, we believe that we're all in this together. So that's what we're here for, is to help you along the way, you know, during this difficult time and, you know, beyond. Let me just hit the rest of the questions here. Did I get them all? Yeah, I think I hit everybody's questions here in the chat. If I didn't, you know, please let me know. If there are any other questions, we have some time for questions specifically for Darnell and Damien. If you have any specific questions, you know, I guess my question, you know, would be, I'm trying to think if we got, you know, are there any other major turnarounds and delays that we're looking at for supplies other than what would be classified as, you know, PPE? So other than the gloves, other than maybe some disinfectants, you know, are you experiencing, you know, any other major turnaround delays?
We're going to. With more and more spas opening and scheduled to open, people and people being brought off furlough and all of that, the hotels are really going to be driving factors, and we're actively reaching out to them to figure out open dates, what they're going to be ordering, so we can beef up our par levels. But more and more back order situations will be coming into effect when more and more businesses open. So I would plan, I would research now, I would figure out what you're going to need, and you know, and then bring it into stock, train your staff, get them ready to go so they're comfortable with it. They're not wasting, but they're comfortable with what they're doing, and your standard operating procedures for after every client moves out of the room, new clients coming in, what the timeline is going to be there. So yeah, I think that as much information as you can give the person or your distributor is what you're needing, what your par levels currently are, that information is going to be immediately relayed to our purchasing teams, which is going to help bring the stocks back in, because we're here to support. We want your business. We want to work with you. We just need to know. I think everyone's sort of been sideswiped by what has happened in our industry since mid-March.
So the key takeaway there is, you know, if you're opening July 1st, you know, don't wait till, you know, June 25th to place your order.
Oh, please don't.
You know, maybe start, you know, get in that supply chain now, even if it has a later ship date, right?
Yeah. Most websites that you go to or people that you speak to, they'll do a stock analysis report on what they have, when it's expected in, and they'll be able to run that pretty quickly and give you a better understanding. But ask the questions. You know, if you want to speak with someone, ask those questions. Is this in stock? When is it expected to ship? And, you know, is there anything that you're expecting in which is like or new? So
right.
There's a lot of new stuff coming to market every day.
Arena, I see you have your hand raised. Do you have a question you want to put in the chat possibly? Let's see. Room. Can you re-ask me that question, Arena? Because I don't see the question. It's probably about the HEPA units maybe, but would you mind posting that again for me? And then Let's see. Do you recommend any isolation gown providers?
I don't have isolation gown providers, but it doesn't mean, Bodywork Mall is part of a much larger company called Script Companies. We have Massage Warehouse, Allegra Medical, Advantage Medical, Script Hasco. So our brand reaches into a lot of the medical side. So can we get gowns? Without a doubt. Do I know them off the top of my head? I don't, but I can research that and post it to the team. So I know you might have and know of.
Again, just like you, we have different supply vendors. We don't have isolating gowns, but we do have disposable gowns that we offering under the PPA resource that we have available. So that's the best answer I can give you at this point.
Good. Question here from Beth. So will you be trying to increase your supply of all back bar supplies in your warehouses in case there is a revisit of the virus in the fall, so that we're not, running out of supplies?
Well, I think here's the thing. We try to keep stock on hand as best as we can, but with this situation, it hit us pretty hard and fast. We are gearing up for, fall, but as Damien has pointed out, as spas reopen, it's going to be a greater demand. And so you have to think about the resources that we pull from. Are they able to keep up with the demand that we have now and what will happen in the fall? So we're going to try our best not to be on that back order situation, but I don't think we can 100% guarantee that it won't happen. You know what I mean? We're looking now at what is the most popular item and how do we gear up for those items now.
So it's like the toilet paper issue. If spas are hoarding gloves, then there's not enough left over for everyone.
Right.
There was a question that came up that you were just saying about that. Went out of my head. Okay, so Arena's question is, if filtration units for the building is not in my budget, which HEPA filter room units can I get and which specifications should I look for? So full building, system, not in the budget. If they were just going to get something for in each room, what do we look at?
I'll be very careful on what each of those individual room pieces claim to do. A lot of the times they don't affect anything. They can reduce some of the particulates in the area, in that area. They can, but they do produce ozone. Again, it's going to be about research. It's going to be about researching the product, making sure that you have scientific data to back it. So the filtration systems, like the media HEPA filtration systems, which are used in the hospitals, a lot of the time the virus gets through them because the particulates are so small, they're so tiny. It gets straight through those the HEPA filters. So I think, again, it's all about the product that you find. Do the research. I wouldn't recommend them.
Okay. Darnell, we're at 4:00 just about, so I think we answered everyone's questions. I want to ask Darnell a question because I know you have a spa. You're in New Jersey. Your spa is in Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania, yes.
Pennsylvania. What are you looking for as a reopening plan for your spa?
So, we put together a plan of action for the spa. Number one, it's really following the guidelines that Pennsylvania has really set for us. You know, again, no one waiting in the waiting room. You wait in your car, you get checked in, you temperature checked. You make sure that you have your sanitation schedule up front so people can see that. Your employees wearing gloves, masks, you know, disposable gowns. So we're doing everything that we possibly can to reassure them of their safety as well as our safety as well.
Right, right. And so my final question, so I wanted to thank everyone for joining us. We look forward to seeing you this Thursday at 10:30 on the coffee chat. And my last question to each of our panelists, thank you, Damien. Thank you, Darnell, for joining us. We are extremely grateful to have you here, and we're extremely grateful to have your companies as partners in the spa industry. My final question would be, what is your parting bit of advice to creating a great lasting relationship with your equipment and supply vendor? Damien?
Be open, be transparent, and ask questions. Let us take a deep dive into how you operate, and you know, figure out if the solutions that we're providing are adequate for your business model.
I agree with Damien, and I would just add one more. I always say to my clients, do you want to be a partner? Because that will determine how well we establish our relationship. And that's also a trust factor as well. As Damien said, be open, be honest, be upfront, and then that way we can better service you as a client.
Great. So we will send out the replay. If you have questions, we will include Damien and Darnell's information. Don't forget to join us on upcoming webinars each Monday, where we're going to try to take a deep dive into building the foundation of your business. We did dive into COVID a little bit more than our other webinars today, because getting these supplies and getting what you need to keep your staff and employees safe is huge. And my final reminder is just remember, time is money. So having a supply vendor saves you the many trips to Sally's, the calling around to hold different items, sending someone to pick it up and getting them back to deliver it to your spa. So, you know, that's kind of my 2 cents on why it's important to have a really good relationship with your supply vendors. So thank you for joining us. Happy Monday. Thank you again to Damien and Darnell.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah.
And thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.